From being an underground artist to getting over 45 million streams on a single song, Ian has amassed nearly 5 million monthly listeners within the span of a single year, which has allowed him to sell out shows overseas. As someone who still divides the hip hop fanbase, Ian has done well to force rap to take him seriously. Well, most of the genre at least. So how exactly has the artist managed to become a hefty force within the industry? If you're unfamiliar with the name Ian, he is a Caucasian rap artist who comes from Dallas, Texas. His sound has been compared to rappers like Yeet and several Atlantan artists, which is something that has caused him to come under a lot of fire, but we'll get into that later. Ian recently dropped his debut mixtape by the name of Valedictorian, a name which matches the aesthetic of the album and the artist in general. The project managed to sell 16k first week, which is a very respectable number, especially if you consider A Boogie's album, which dropped the same day, sold 26k. For a debut mixtape with 10 songs, Ian selling the amount he did was a massive success. So how exactly has the artist managed to gain such a huge fanbase so quickly? More than anything, Ian is something new within the industry. But no, I'm not talking about his actual sound. While some people don't like it, his entire aesthetic and persona is unlike anything we've seen yet. The artist completely juxtaposes the mysterious and dark gimmick that the majority of artists have seemed to incorporate nowadays, with the rapper actually communicating with his fans instead of sending out cryptic messages that you'd have to decipher, or just nothing at all. If you look through his Instagram page, you'll find countless examples of Ian being transparent with his fans, updating them on album releases.
I know I told you Friday, and I wanted to give it to you on Friday, but it just wasn't ready yet. I do, however, have some special announcements for you guys.
As well as his live performances.
Ian family, London and Toronto, thank you guys so much for selling out. I'm on the way now. Pause. Fuck, am I supposed to say the pause?
Which is unfortunately unlike many artists today. His personality, alongside his music, has managed to take Ian out of the underground in a world record time, as the artist is already a worldwide name, managing to sell out shows all the way over in London. Working with Cole Bennett has also allowed Ian to showcase his music to a much larger audience, as the director is the main reason for a lot of artists getting a big break in their careers. 2 of Ian's music videos on the channel already have millions of views, which has allowed him to slowly start breaking into the mainstream. Now, the artist takes a lot of inspiration from other modern day rappers, meaning the music isn't exactly unique, but it's not as if every single artist has to push the boundaries of the genre. His sound is tried and tested, which is why he's seen so much success in his young career. In fact, Atlantan artist Lil Yachty has given a massive cosign to Ian, firstly bringing him out on stage at one of his live performances. And later on, collaborating with the artist on the song Hate Me. Yachty is a well-known name in the industry with plenty of connections, and if Ian has managed to work with him so early on in his career, who knows who else the artist has been in the studio with. At his show in London, Ian also brought out some big names from the UK in Lancey and YT.
This next one only makes sense. Chocolate Brown.
However, whilst Ian has a lot of support from several artists, there is also the other side of the spectrum, where he is not so liked. But this could actually be seen as a good thing, and let me explain why. Recently, Tyler the Creator seemingly spoke about Ian within one of his interviews. Whilst he's never actually name-dropped the artist, Tyler's description matched Ian perfectly.
It's some kid right now, it's a white kid. Regular, like, Caucasian man.
And unless he's talking about Lil Mabu, we can assume that Ian is the culprit of the comments. Tyler had some harsh things to say about the artist, claiming that Ian is a mockery of hip-hop due to him imitating other rappers in the game.
And he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane, like rap music. And like people are like, this shit hard. It's not even like satire, it's like, I'm just joking, I'm just mocking it. But I'm like, no, you can't.
But like I said, these comments aren't necessarily a negative for Ian, as firstly, it is a lot of publicity for the artist. Being discussed by one of the biggest artists in the industry will bring attention to your name, even despite it being negatively. Like they say, all publicity is good publicity. Whilst there will be a lot of hate from people who agree with Tyler, there will also be people discovering Ian for the first time and actually enjoying his music.
Hey, Ion, hard, bro.
Which would not have been possible without Tyler mentioning Ian in the interview. Secondly, hate or being disliked can be a sign that you're on the right path. The road to being a successful artist isn't straightforward, and like several other rappers, Ian will have to overcome the hurdles that come with the genre. Hurdles that artists like Carti, Yeat, Ken Carson, and so many others have faced as well. A lot of new things are hated at the beginning, and this is because humans are often resistant to change, and whilst Ian's music isn't exactly new, hip hop fans aren't used to seeing a white artist use this sound, and that is Ian's biggest hurdle. You see, for a long time now, Caucasian artists have had negative associations within the genre, and for good reason. Just look at Post Malone. The artist began his career as a hip hop artist, using the genre to become a huge star in the mainstream. But all he's ever really done is show disrespect to the genre that brought him to prominence, using the rap culture solely to gain attention, and when the numbers began to decrease, he began making country and pop music. And he isn't the only white artist to have done this, with Machine Gun Kelly also starting with rap, only to completely switch his sound when the going gets tough. Which brings us to Ian, who has also been accused of being a culture vulture, and this is where the mockery of hip hop comes in. Whilst Ian presents himself as being a suburban character completely different to the typical artist profile.
Ian family, first of all, thank you. I feel like we've all had ample time to ruminate over this most recent body of work, and I can't thank you enough.
His music is actually no different to the other artists, as he's rapping about the exact same things. If Ian didn't put on this posh boy persona, he would have nowhere near the amount of fans he does now, which has led people to believe that he's simply feeding off black culture for profit and gain, with many fans predicting for him to follow the same career path as Post Malone. In the case of Tyler the Creator, he simply doesn't see Ian having the same love for hip hop that other white rappers had.
In comparison to someone like a Mac Miller or Eminem, who it didn't seem like they was mocking it, they had a genuine love for it, and they were still just being, aside from when Eminem was wearing do-rags.
And even Yeat managed to avoid the white rapper allegations, as he didn't market himself as something completely different to what his music sounds like. Now, there's always two sides to every argument, and the controversy shows that Ian has at least made rap take him seriously, as there wouldn't be all this discussion otherwise. But what do you think? Can Ian ever escape the culture vulture label, or will it stick with him for the rest of his career?